And here's the deal. Like, we've seen that before. And if you're going to do something that's been done before, you better be really, really good at it or add your own twist.
There you
I
go.
think it's just been done so much that it's been done before, and it's been done, for my money, been done a lot better.
That's what disappointed me, is that there was potential here for you to do something different, and what you chose to do was the same old shtick. Welcome to the Lariat Lounge. This is the home of smart takes, hard hits, and real talk. I'm your host, Everson Godfrey, co-host Andrew Skeens. Skeener, I almost thought that we would get through the year with the Vision's ultimate plan being brought to fruition. And turns out Seth does not want that to happen. And he will find any way to remove himself from his own vision. So now we have a situation where the Vision is Rollins-less, and Becky Lynch is threatening people's lives, including Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
I mean, we are like, I have full
just
faith.
straight up gonna kill him.
Oh yeah,
that was quite interesting to hear, but I guess different times in WWE.
It is. Listen,
not only can we hate people, we can now threaten to kill them.
Yes, and they'll go to a hospital, not a local medical facility. So, we crossed the threshold into reality now, and escaped the kayfabe world of on-screen medical facilities and veiled threats. But
I miss the local medical facility.
Do you really?
That. I do.
Maybe that's the nostalgia part of you, because,
Probably.
I always understood, we all did, what they're talking about. But the fact that you arbitrarily cannot say hospital was always odd. But I mean, you just accept it as a wrestling fan. But hey, we're back, guys, with another week of wrestling. So, welcome back to the Lariat Lounge. I don't know if you guys have heard over the last 1 or 2 weeks or so, but your boys, the Lariat Lounge, are ranked number 196 in professional wrestling podcast. And that's not just me saying that, that's Apple Podcasts saying that as well. But we're glad to have you here. Welcome back to another week of wrestling. Skeener, please let our friends know where they can keep up with us in all things Lariat Lounge Wrestling.
You're here. We're coming at you once a week, every week, on all your favorite podcast platforms, be it the aforementioned Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever else you get your shows. We're over on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast, throwing up posts every time an episode goes up. And also, you could get at us, send us an email at thelariatlounge@gmail.com.
Guys, we appreciate you coming out, checking us out. And listen, wherever you listen, please give us a like rating on whatever platform it is that you're listening. It is free for you. It's a small gesture, but for us, it goes a long way. So we thank you guys in advance. But hey, enough with the fluff. Let's get to the stuff. Skeener, before we jump in, I just have to give a broad apology to the fans today. I am bringing 110% of my energy today, but I had a pretty god-awful dentist visit yesterday. And the numbing agent, the stuff that they use, when they numb you to do your teeth cleaning and stuff like that, I never react to that stuff well. And whenever they use it, the day after, I am no good. And which is why I was off of work today, because I went in for a teeth cleaning. And
I wondered why you weren't, but I thought it was a good day off.
Yeah, you know what? It's been fine. It's been fine. The day after, I would usually kind of just feel off all day, and I may have a headache like I kind of got right now, but it's not a big deal. I'm firing up right now for all the listeners here because we're delivering a product, and so I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that your boy is pushing through. But we're going to get through SmackDown. We're going to get through Raw because honestly, it was a pretty decent week of wrestling, all things considered. Over on SmackDown, first and foremost, let me just say that Sammy Hogan has dropped the United States Championship. Skeener.
I know he must be going away to film a movie or something because I know he wouldn't do this out of the goodness of his heart.
Well,
So
I heard that he made the call. That it didn't come from the writing room. That Sami Zayn made the call that he wanted to drop the title to Dragunov. I don't know if he's taking some time away, but that definitely seems like a Hogan move. You know what I mean? Like he decides
that's what
when
I
he
was
wins.
thinking. Maybe they're rebooting Thunder in Paradise and he's going away to film that, brother. And I don't know.
It's possible.
I was shocked when he lost, but that was a great match and obviously a great return with Ilya Dragunov.
They,
Was not expecting that at all.
no,
So,
I mean, look, they got a lot of faith in him. That's for sure because he was having a pretty good run before he got injured, and he was on the show for over a year, I believe. And
yeah, it's been a long time.
yeah, I think when they were on the
Got a
show,
nice new neck tattoo.
I didn't even notice.
Saw what that did. How could you not notice that?
I swear I didn't.
It's I mean, look, Cody laid out the blueprint for success, and now we've got two young guys, Ilya and Dirty Dom.
Yeah.
They're jumping into the neck tattoo game, and that's how you become a top guy.
Well, look, you can't miss Doms because I swear they keep letting us know very clearly that they see it, and they point it out on every occasion. So in case you didn't know, Dom's got a nice fat neck tattoo on the front of his neck. Honestly, with all of his tattoos, I tend to forget. I knew he had it, but I wasn't really paying attention to it because he's tatted up. I don't know why I missed Dragunov's. I don't know, man. I saw Dragunov come out and I was like, oh, it's good to see Ilya back. And then, Sammy was in the ring and I was just like, okay, this is about to be another, Sammy Hogan wash. You know what I'm saying? Another squash match. And sure enough, this turns into a match that everyone in the arena was really behind because, I mean, Dragunov doesn't really put on bad matches. And, neither does Sammy, if we're being honest. And the match was great. The fact that he lost and dropped the title was indeed surprising. But, there are a lot of things that are happening right now in WWE that are, I say surprising, Skeener, because not that injuries don't happen, but the fact that they seem to be stacking on themselves right now. And it was a little odd, right? Like, so obviously, Seth Rollins is out. He's probably going to be out till, I don't know. From what I heard, there's a hope that he will be back by Mania. So
I hope
that's the hope. And, he should be out for a little bit. But then I guess Jacob Fatu is injured too.
Yeah. I guess like some sort of facial or oral surgery or something.
Huh.
They said.
Okay.
Which I kind of enjoy that they, for some reason, worked that into the angle as he lost some teeth there on SmackDown.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for that. I love that when it's just so ridiculous. Like he's got fake teeth laying there. It's not as good as Ray losing his eye during COVID.
I swear,
out,
dude,
but
you took that right out of my brain. I was literally about to bring up Ray and the eyeball, which
the close up on the fake eye, like that's peak Thunderdome right there.
Oh, and let's not forget Seth throwing up because he threw up on the spot, and I was like, wow.
Bray Wyatt was immolated. And there are lots of things going on in the Thunderdome, but not to sidetrack us at all.
No, though that was a magical time. That was a magical time. But no, I mean, a lot of people seem to be injured right now, or they're becoming injured. And I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're going to be away and you're going to need some time to heal up, this is probably the best time to do it right before WrestleMania season kicks off, obviously during the holidays. So, hopefully you get both these gentlemen back by Mania time. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they were planning on doing with Jacob. He was going into he was going into the feud with Drew.
Yeah.
So now that Drew is back on the table, is he back against Cody now?
I mean,
that's what it looks like.
Obviously, right?
Yeah. Like, that's what it looks like. It's funny because a couple weeks ago we were talking about this.
He won his title match, or correct? I mean, he won his match. He did not win the title, but you know what I mean.
Oh, what you doing? His impromptu match against Cody?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Because Cody hit him with the belt. So yeah,
I'm sure we'll get into that. Very strange ending. I didn't hate it, but it was kind of odd.
Well,
right?
let's get into it. So all right. So Cody comes out there and he's extremely pissed off because it's very heavily implied that Drew McIntyre was the individual who attacked Jacob Fatu. Now, if you ask Drew, Drew said he had nothing to do with it. But Drew always says he had nothing to do with it. And so Cody comes out there, and, I guess when you're the WWE champion and you're one Cody Rhodes, you can just do whatever you want and make whatever matches you want. And Cody just comes out there and says, we're doing a world championship match right now. I don't need a ref to be ready. I don't even need my ring gear. I'm going to wrestle you in plain clothes. And they proceeded to just have a knockdown, drag out fight, apparently for the WWE championship. And out of nowhere, toward the end of this match, Cody gets thrown over the barrier to the timekeepers area. And then he just, whack-a-mole style pops up with the title and just smacks Drew across the face with it and gets himself DQ'd, which on one hand, I guess I can kind of, I can get it from the perspective of, okay, Cody's pissed, he's raging, and he grabs the belt. He just wants to hurt Drew. But at the same time, I get that they're making some pivots right now, and therefore we may need to have some jarring story beats, but I don't know. I watched the match. It was kind of entertaining, but at the same time, I think I felt like you in a sense where it was just like, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I'm not entirely sure why A, Cody is so mad at Drew, and B, why he gets himself DQ'd. I mean, did he not think he could win the match, or was he just too mad? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't necessarily I'm fine with Cody showing that side and us getting to the point where Cody's so frustrated and hates this guy so much that he's gonna hit him with the title and loses cool. I don't hate that, but it was a weird spot to do it. Why did Cody challenge him to this match and then, kind of take the easy way out of his own match?
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, it's kind of, like I said, kind of odd, but I guess we're getting more Cody and Drew, which is fine, because I think, Drew definitely deserves to be in this big spot, so I'll take what I can get. But yeah, kind of just strange. I think a lot of people felt that way, at least the few people I've talked to.
So we got to be getting Drew and Cody at Saturday night's main event, right?
It's kind of implied, right?
I would think that's what we would do, because they had their impromptu match.
Who else is going to? And Drew technically won the match. So.
Yeah, well, listen, and it was a title match on top of that. So, yeah, listen. Whenever
Drew's
I hear,
he's still got his points to argue. So,
yeah, who's listening? I don't know, because everybody seems to be tired of listening to their employees. If you're a general manager, but yeah, my brain always goes back to the quickly forgotten rematch clause, and it always struck me as odd. Like, if you got a championship match and the champion gets themselves disqualified, and that means that the challenger technically won the match, but they don't win the title. No title is transferred on disqualification or count out. Does the non-champion participant in the match have any recourse to a rematch clause or any recourse to a rematch via the rematch clause? Because they technically won the match. So why would you be entitled to a rematch? You know what I'm saying? Like, technically speaking, it would be Cody who would be insisting on a rematch against Drew, which is why the idea of getting yourself DQ'd has always been kind of looked at as a heel tactic, because it's a conniving way of getting out of having to offer someone a rematch. So I don't know. Yes,
it's just weird. It's weird.
It's
something we've never seen, obviously. So
it is. I mean, I'm sure
we'll see where they go with it. We'll see how Cody explains his heelish evil actions. So,
oh yeah, if anybody even cares, because who knows? Because they're doing so much pivoting, and this is something that we have had to kind of deal with quite a bit this year. Is the good old pivot, right? Whether it's the John Cena stuff and anything surrounding that, to Seth Rollins and things surrounding this, and now this whole thing with Jacob Fatu and his injury, and you're just having to pivot, right? And like even with the women's world championship with Naomi, she goes out pregnant. They've got to pivot, right? And then decisions start getting made that don't have any sensible conclusions in the immediate. But then they kind of do this to pivot into whatever angle they're trying to go to a little bit down the road, right? So I guess, we're literally in that space where we have to wait and see. But man, when they got to do these pivots, I think there's just a really big missed opportunity here sometimes to kind of fill the crowd in, you know what I'm saying, on like what is actually happening and why things are happening. But I guess they got a little bit of time. When is Saturday night's main event?
2 weeks from Saturday.
Oh, dang. So we still got a ways to go from that. So 2 weeks. So I
believe so, yeah.
And then Survivor Series is after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is the biggest break we've had from PLE in quite a while.
Correct.
Okay. No wonder this seems weird. Because I got on feeling like we should have like a PLE coming up in like a week. But I guess not.
No, it is next. It is 1 week from Saturday, not 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, that actually
November
makes a
1st.
Little bit more sense. That actually makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so.
And it looks like we had a social media announcement that, yes, we will have Cody versus Drew in a title match at Saturday night's main event.
Okay. So
that takes care of that.
So, yeah, so I guess they will come on Friday and say that it was announced via social media. Yeah, you got to be on social media. Listen, viewers, listeners, this is the reason why I am very thankful to have Andrew Skeens in my life as a friend, because he looks at these things and I don't. Because if I didn't have him, I would have no idea. I'd have to wait till the show.
I mean, I'm on there too much and I still didn't see it, so sometimes it can still slip through. If you take a day off, you will miss something WWE storyline related.
Yeah, I wonder if that's for the good or for bad, because I wonder if they would include more things in the regular televised programming if people weren't looking for it on social media. You know what I'm saying?
Probably.
That's what I would think. But they're all in on that. They're all in on that. So it looks like Sol Ruka and Zarya are probably finished with challenging Alexa Bliss and Charlotte, as they've got their formal WWE champion. Oh wait, was that for the belt?
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought, yeah.
Yes, the women's tag team titles were on the line.
Oh yeah, because old girl was out there. Blake Monroe.
Yes.
Yeah, made herself known, and Sol Ruka just could not. It's the dreaded black hole vortex of interference, and if you show up outside the ring or you walk down the dreaded ramp during a match, It's something about the universe conspiring against someone, and it just forms a vortex of gravity that you just cannot pull yourself away from, no matter how much is on the line, whether it's a championship, whether something is being hung from a pole or suspended above the ring. You're going to stop. You're going to pay attention. You're going to give undue amounts of attention to whatever's happening outside the ring. And 9 times out of 10 is going to cost you. And despite the fact that Sol Ruka hit Flair with the Soul Snatcher, Bliss interrupts the count, and then Monroe distracts Sol Ruka, and, our champions remain the champions, which, if I'm being honest, I did not expect there to be a championship title change for the women's tag team championships, just because I don't see them putting 3 belts on Sol Ruka right now, and B, I don't see those belts going to NXT and, leaving the women's division without tag team champs. Plus, I don't think we're ready to pull the plug on Bliss and Flair just yet. But the match, as always, was really freaking good.
Match was really good. Glad they got kind of a showcase. I think they've got, if they not to disparage Zarya in the crossfire here, but they've got a real star on their hands in Sol Ruka. If they can, lead her along and develop her at the right way and wait for the right opportunity to introduce her, I think she's got everything to be a big star. So I was glad to see her get that platform, get to hit the Soul Snatcher in a good way, get to hit a good one. And yeah, like you said, no one expected them to win this match, I don't think. And then on Raw, we get a hint of where we're going with the women's tag titles. But if you listen to Lariat Lounge, you'd know that, because I've been telling you that for 2 weeks.
Yeah, listen. I'm so here's something I was just thinking about, right? And I was thinking about this as I was watching the women's tag match, and I want your opinion. So I agree with you 1,000% that Sol Ruka is a star, and that's no disrespect to Zarya. It really isn't. But I think Sol Ruka, like you said, has all the trappings of a WWE superstar, potentially, right? She's in the ring with Charlotte Flair. Over on Raw, we saw Becky Lynch and Maxine for the Intercontinental Championship. Maxine is really coming into her own, right? And I think the fans are really behind her, and she could definitely be someone who WWE decides to maybe turn up the heat on just a little bit, because she is a bit popular. And for whatever reason there may be, why is it that the women's division always seems like they are like slim pickings for some reason? And maybe it's because they're just not using their talent. But right now, I feel like she's one of the only women I've really seen on Raw besides Becky and Stephanie Vaquer and Julia and her manager. I forget her name all the time. Kiana James. But like, we don't really see a ton of different people. We saw Nikki Bella, right? But
it's been very focused. I mean, we've had, you're right, it's been very focused right now. I think, if you just look at the sheer numbers, they're kind of light on women on the main roster right now that are healthy and around all the time.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, we see most of them at least every couple weeks, but maybe I'm forgetting some people. I'm trying to think.
Well, look, I'm looking at the Raw breakdown, right, on WWE.com. And actually, it's not showing me what it showed me for SmackDown. Because on SmackDown, it shows me a list of all the people who are on the show, but it's not showing it to me here for Raw for some reason. But, whatever the case may be, right, it does seem like if they're showcasing the majority of the people that they have that are healthy and available, that's not a lot. Right?
Right. Okay. So, let's just go through it since we're on this now.
Okay.
Raw females, we have Asuka, check. Bailey,
Okay.
check. Becky Lynch, check. I mean, these were all on the show this week.
Okay.
Io,
Yeah.
not on this week, right? Or was she?
No, she was not.
No, but obviously featured heavily. Ivy Nile, okay, there's one, you could say.
Yeah, this is true. We haven't seen her in a little while.
Kyrie,
Okay.
check. Liv Morgan, hurt. Kiana James, for some reason, listed as Raw Superstar, but still check. Maxine, check. Nikki Bella, check. Natalia, okay, there's two.
Okay.
Rhea, obviously featured. Roxanne Perez, check. Stephanie Vaquer, check. Zoe Stark, injured.
Is that it?
That's the female. Oh, I had skipped over Lyra, but obviously check. So, of your women on the Raw roster that haven't been featured in the past 2 weeks, you have Natalia and Ivy Nile.
Yeah.
So I think we could say they're using it there.
Okay, very true.
Let's get a SmackDown. Yeah, I think one, maybe there were more than you think. You just don't, sometimes we forget. But okay, SmackDown. Alba Fire.
Okay.
Been a few weeks, but she's with Chelsea, so there's a spot there.
Sure.
Alexa Bliss, obviously on the show. B-Fab, been doing things.
Yeah, we've seen her for sure.
Not as featured, but yeah. Bianca, hurt, I guess, still.
Seems like it.
Candice LeRae.
Hurt.
But we see her with Johnny sometimes.
But we do see her backstage.
So yeah. Charlotte, check. Chelsea Green, been doing less the last couple weeks, but check. Julia's there. Jade Cargill's there. Michin there. Nia Jax we haven't seen for a couple weeks. So I'd say she's the least featured so far. Piper is hurt, correct?
Yep, she is.
Nikki Cross, obviously featured. Tiffany, obviously featured. And Zelina Vega, now featured. So we counted 3, maybe, of their women that aren't featured relatively regularly. So I think maybe it's a perception thing more than reality.
So, okay. So here's...
They're using quite a bit there. I'd say more than we have in the past.
I think I hear what you're saying, right? Here's my... I think this is what I'm sensing.
Okay.
So you've got... Let's look at SmackDown, for instance. I was trying to pull up the roster up here so I could look at them, but I was on WWE.com, and for some reason I can't pull up the roster here on WWE.com.
That's what I just did. I went to Superstars.
That's what I did. I clicked Superstars, and it gives me a list of the champions.
Scroll down.
You got to keep going.
Yeah.
You got to keep going. Okay, so...
Don't worry, I did that at first, but I figured it out.
Okay, so let's just take a look here at who is... Okay, so I'm looking at this list. Where is, however, the competition for any of the champions?
I mean, you're right there. That's the issue we've been talking about.
Yeah, and
we didn't even care about the SmackDown Women's title, did we? Was Tiffany even on the show?
No, she wasn't. Maybe she had a week off. You know what I mean?
No, we didn't go anywhere other than... Well, I guess we did go somewhere. Kiana James came up to her and started talking.
Yeah, they had a little backstage
about
segment.
Losing, and she said, "Yeah, this is why I didn't offer to manage you."
Right,
and
but then we also set up a match for next week. Yeah,
yes,
okay. Which would be this Friday.
So forgive me. Yes, they were on the show. They did go somewhere,
right?
Even
so
if it's
so they'll be competing this Friday.
Yeah.
Kiana James is competing against the WWE Women's Champion. There's no chance in Blue Hell or Blue Thunderbomb that Kiana James will legitimately compete against Tiffany Stratton for that championship, right? I'm looking over at this roster. Alba Fire, not in a position to do so. Alexa Bliss, not in a position to do so, right? She's the tag champ, right? B-Fab, not going to be in a tag team that's going to be challenging for the tag team championships anytime soon. Bianca Belair on the shelf. Candice LeRae on the shelf. Charlotte Flair part of the tag team. Unless Chelsea Green is going to get plucked from the slim singles division of the women to be put in a tag team with Alba Fire to challenge for those tag team championships, she's not going to be, stepping over to challenge for the tag belts. right? Then you've got Julia. She's the champ. Jade Cargill. She's active, sure, but she's probably one of the only people that's viable to challenge for the WWE Championship, which she just fought for, right? Then we scroll down to Michin. Last time I checked, Michin was in the U.S. title scene. Naomi is out. Nikki Cross, they're not putting her in a position to challenge for that title. Nia Jax, she was in that three-way qualifier, you know what I'm saying, for the title match not too long ago. And then we scroll down, Tiffany Stratton's a champ, and Zelina Vega is now doing the thing with her boo. So of all this list, we've literally got 3 women that are orbiting the title picture, and one of them is a champ. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to the U.S. title, we've only got 3.
So what are we talking about? The WWE women's title?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. This isn't a new development for me. We bitch about this every week.
No, I know. It's not,
we don't know what we're...
I'm not trying to say it's a new development, right? But I'm just looking, and I was going somewhere completely different. I was going somewhere completely different with this, but that's fine. At the same time, when you look at the tag division, right? There are no tag teams literally to really challenge for the challenge against the tag team champions.
No, we're colliding the 2 we've got left. Seemingly.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like these rotations,
which is fine. It's going to be great, but
yeah, but it's just like
it's spread thin.
It just seems like there is this 3-unit rotation for each one of the championships, right? Whether it's the U.S. championship with Julia and then Chelsea Green and then Michin, whether it's the WWE championship with Tiffany Stratton as the champion, and then you've got Jade Cargill and you've got Nia Jax, that's the 3. And then for the tag belts, you've got the tag team champs, and then you've got who? You know what I'm saying? The tag against, that's my whole thing, right? It seems like these feuds keep cycling back and forth around the same few groups of people. And the bad thing is when you start to lose one or somebody goes out on injury, you know what I'm saying? Then you got a problem. But I meant to ask you.
I'm with you. It's been kind of static, like the opposite of what we praise about some of the top storylines that, especially on Raw, that everything intermingles and people guest star in other people's stories all the time. That doesn't seem like it's happened in the women's division, especially on SmackDown. But yeah, I'm with you there now that I got where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, it is what it is. You know, look, you've only got 2 hours of programming for each show. So you're only going to be able to get a certain amount of things in. So it makes sense that you don't have these bloated main rosters, right? Totally understand that. And I totally understand that because you have that, you're not going to have so many people rotating around a title picture at any given time. It's just nice when you watch Raw and you see, like you stated before, that you see this intermingling with people in these stories and it gives them more to do. You know what I mean? That makes them feel like they've got a lot more going on than just the few segments that you get with them on any given SmackDown, for whatever it is that they're competing for or who they're competing against. But I was going to ask you about, I was talking about Sol Ruca. I was talking about how they were wrestling Charlotte and Alexa, but the picture I was just looking at was Sol Ruca and Charlotte. Then I was thinking about Tiffany Stratton, who's the WWE Women's Champion, and how she's been struggling with her championship run. With people she's putting on good matches, but it's just not landing, right? And then over on Raw, you've got Maxine Dupree, who is, currently in this feud with Becky Lynch, right? Which may have just blown itself off now, but she was in this feud and the crowd was really behind her because they've been doing a good job with Becky Lynch and with her to kind of flesh this story out. But I was going to ask you, do you think, Skeena, that it ever becomes difficult for a tall, slender blonde to differentiate themselves in the WWE? Because it's like, listen, it sounds superficial as hell, I understand, but perception is half of the battle. If you come across as very, very similar to Charlotte Flair, or very similar to Sol Ruca, or very similar to Tiffany Stratton, or very similar to Maxine Dupree, right? It's going to require much more of a story investment to get people past the fact that perception-wise, you look like a lot of other people. It was one of the big reasons why Rhea Ripley became so insanely popular, because Rhea has always been a great wrestler, right? But if you watch any documentary about her, any interview about her, right, when she started to really kind of embrace who she was and stop trying to fit the mold of what WWE wanted for female wrestlers at that time, right, she separated herself and she made her own lane, and it helped her to stand out. It's genuinely a fact. You know what I mean? Like, listen, despite what anybody may say, because I remember back in the day, there were some people who criticized Shelton Benjamin at the time when he was doing his gold standard and he dyed his hair gold, all Cisco style. And I remember there was some criticism there, but it helped him stand out from the other male black wrestlers who all look the same. And, you know, then you can couple that on top of his athletic prowess and his skill in the ring, right? And his over-the-top gold standard gimmick that he had, and he got over for a time. You know what I mean? And so I think that there's some legitimacy in the conversation. But I wanted your opinion, because you will sometimes have a slightly different perspective on some of the same things as I do. So what are your thoughts on that in general, the idea of the archetype of the tall, athletic, blonde female wrestler? And does that in some way make it a bit difficult to stand out when the roster size as it currently stands is not that large?
I get where you're coming from. I don't necessarily think it's just hard for tall, athletic blonde to stand out, because I mean, it's so, the answer for me is so yes and no, but it applies to everyone in that, one, you don't want to look like someone else, and two, you can't really look generic, especially if there's someone else doing. Trying to find the right words for this, but
yeah,
it's about carving out an identity, regardless. Like, I wouldn't feel the same way when I see Charlotte Flair on screen as I do Sol Ruca, but I also think there's still, ground to be gained for Sol Ruca in carving out an identity. I think yes and no is going to be my answer. I think maybe right now we have an influx of younger talent that isn't identifiable immediately in their character and their niche, that are these young kids, and a lot of them are, athletic blonde girls.
Sure.
But the same way at other times in wrestling, we've had, other promotions with a bunch of bald, nameless indie guys in trunks. Like, I think it's just, we have a lot of those types of people that happen to look a certain way. Yeah. I think it'll fluctuate. It's just, everyone at any point has to carve out your identity and be you and not be a different version of someone else, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, I'm with you.
Like, I do, like, I thought, like, there are times where you think, you've got to differentiate yourself. You just can't be, tall, athletic, blonde girl A and tall, athletic, blonde girl B. But I think that's less down to tall blonde and more down to, there just happens to be right now multiple people. But, maybe that is a trend. I don't know. I don't see it exactly that way, but I see that as part of, everyone that looks somewhat similar has to differentiate themselves. Like you were saying, Rhea. Like, you just have to look different, be different if you want to stand out.
Yeah.
And that was just a horrible one of the worst jobs I've ever done at articulating thoughts,
No,
but
I got you. I got you 1,000%, dude.
sometimes I'll strike out on these.
No, dude, listen, I got you 1,000%, right? I'm just scrolling up and down the SmackDown roster page, right? And even if you're blonde, when I look at Alexa Bliss, her styling, she wears her hair in the 2 pigtails, right? I think about if I was showing this list of pictures to a person who has never really watched wrestling, right? And I started from the top and I just scrolled through the bottom just long enough so that they could kind of get their eyes on each character, right? Maybe once, maybe twice. If I got to the bottom of the list and I was like, hey, do you remember the character with pink hair? They may say, yeah, I do. They may not remember the name, right? But they remember somebody had pink hair, right? Only person that got pink hair on the roster is Candice LeRae. You know what I'm saying? If I were to say,
I don't
hey,
think it's pink right now, is it?
it may not be. I'm just looking at the
purple right now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the lavender hair color that she's got on the picture, right? But like if I'm scrolling down the list and I'm just like, hey, do you remember somebody on the roster who had two-tone hair? Yeah, there was a girl who had half white, half red, or half black or something. That's Zelina Vega. It's very easy to pick you out. Now, obviously, it doesn't matter if you don't have what the company's looking for at the time in the ring, you know what I'm saying, on the microphone. Because listen, I think that Zelina Vega is excellent, but they're not putting her in anybody's world championship picture right now. And, it just is what it is. But I think it would just be beneficial for people to pay attention to that and try to stand out, because I think there's always going to be a spot for a particular type of archetype on the main roster.
I guess what more succinctly I can say is, if you are going to look like a lot of other people, and seemingly WWE's has an overabundance of female talent that is tall, blonde, super athletic girl. You need to have a character or a niche or do something that someone else doesn't do. The same way the archetype of, short, bald, indie guy that wrestles really good was kind of the male version of that trope.
Sure.
For a bit, and kind of still is. And the way that, those guys can get muddled in your mind, if you don't do something to differentiate yourself, you will fall into that mold of, oh, it's just another X.
Yes. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, and it popped into my brain because I'm looking at the roster and just how diminutive it is. Despite the fact you've got the numbers, people are just being used in a lot of paired up dimensions that take them out of contention really for championships or to be put in a prime position on the card. And listen, get it how you get it, right? Like Zelina Vega is probably going to get more screen time right now doing her thing with Alistair than she would if she wasn't, right? Because currently they're not cycling her toward the US championship, and they're certainly not angling her towards the WWE Women's Championship right now. So get your money how you get your money. Let's
go right into that, because how we spent a couple minutes talking about how it was great that she looked so conflicted and looked like she wasn't part of the ruse.
Not no more.
Yeah. Apparently, those looks were all to confuse the downed Damian Priest that wasn't looking at her anyways, or maybe we had a little pivot. I don't know, but I was shocked when I don't hate it. I don't hate how we got there, but it's weird that she played that role that was very clear. Like, she was very clear in looking conflicted and like she wasn't fully in or fully supportive of what happened when Alistair used her as a shield and beat Damian Priest with his underhanded fireball. Yeah. But now she is seemingly, this was the plan all along. Again, I don't hate the outcome. I loved the kind of pre-taped segment. I thought that was good, but it was weird that they just kind of seemingly either changed their mind or ignored it or what. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I did not like it.
You did not.
I did not. I didn't like it. One, because I felt like the situation that played out in Australia prior to Crown Jewel Perth, right? That SmackDown before Perth. To me, I thought that was such an incredible match and such an incredible setup. And we just waxed poetically on the episode after Crown Jewel Perth about that setup and what they were doing with that. And I just thought that it had so much meat on the bones right there to play with this in-depth character building moment for possibly for Zelina, right? You could go so many different routes. But then what we got was just regular twisty mustache cartoon villainess.
But there was a snake.
There was a snake. And I remember thinking to myself, the snake is kind of cool on its own. The snake is cool on its own because paired up in sync with what they're doing makes it worse. It makes it worse. Like, she is just a comic book villain. And it's not that angle couldn't be cool, right? It's not that angle could not be cool and it could not possibly work. But Aleister Black needs rehabilitation. Like, I'm sorry. The spooky wookie character who speaks cryptidly with a lot of big words, like, it does not ring for me. It rings a bit hollow, actually. And I thought that Zelina was going to be a nice angle to what was going on here. Like, you could go some more rounds with this Aleister Black and Damian Priest angle with Zelina somewhere in the middle of this. Like, it could really work, but not now. Like, not what they're doing now. I think they just took something that was good and kind of stamped it as, that was great for that night. Here's where we're going. And the direction just washed all the nuance away and just left us with something that is going to fizzle in a few months. Like, that's my honest opinion. I think it's going to fizzle in a few months. I don't think anyone's going to care. And I think that we'll see Zelina because they may still continue to use Aleister. But outside of Damian Priest, I mean, what you bring him maybe into another mid-card feud, because I don't see him entering right now the Intercontinental Championship scene. I don't see him going against Dom, though he could. Right? But then it's like, where else does he go? He's certainly not going into that World Championship picture. So I don't know. It just kind of feels like this was something to do. Maybe it had some legs at some point, but I think WWE and this cookie cutter writing that they decided to do here just cut the legs right out from underneath it. And that sucks because I genuinely am a fan of Zelina Vega. And I think Aleister Black is an interesting guy when you peel back all of these stupid spooky wookie layers. I've seen him in stuff outside of wrestling, and he seems like an interesting dude. You know what I mean? And you could work something slightly different with him. Like, that to me felt like a perfect opportunity, Skeener, for them to try something slightly different. Like, you didn't even have to pivot a whole 180. You could have done 90. You could have done 100 degrees. Just something different with him. Give us a little something different. But it doesn't seem like they've done that. The only thing they did different was add Zelina Vega into his mess. And now she seems messy by association. And I don't know. It seemed like they just squandered something that had some legs, and maybe nobody was paying attention to how good that was, and they just let it ride.
It certainly was not. I mean, I don't think we were overreading it or reading something that wasn't there. Like, they made a point, and her facial expressions and how she played that before Crown Jewel was very one way, and then to just take it all back and not even acknowledge that part of it, just, you're like, what? Did I imagine that? No, I didn't imagine that.
Yeah.
It's just like, why are they ignoring it? Or why did they change their mind? We don't know yet. I guess I'm less upset because I had less hopes for it anyways.
Oh, same.
Like, so it's not a great loss to me. I'm not going to mourn the loss of the potential of something that I think is going to, you said fizzle, I'd probably gonna fizzle anyways, no matter what they did, but it would have been cool to see something different. But we'll see. I mean, if they come out with a white snake every week, you've got me. You got me back on board, but we'll see. It all the same. You're right. It's the same stuff. It's the same spooky words. And here's the deal. Like, we've seen that before. And if you're going to do something that's been done before, you better be really, really good at it or add your own twist.
There
and
you
I
go.
think it's just been done so much that he's fine at it, but it's got a ceiling because it's been done before, and it's been done, for my money, been done a lot better. So
I agree.
that's where I'm at with that.
And look, dude, listen, I'm right there with you. Like, I'm not upset about it because I'd never had a lot of faith in it anyway, right? When the angle played on the Friday before Crown Jewel, I thought, oh, this is cool. Let's see where they're going with this, right? But we were already starting from a very low place. And you know what I mean? So it's like for them to kind of drop the ball, it's kind of like picking the ball up maybe an inch off the ground and then letting it go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like not that disappointed
that's where I'm
here,
at.
but it's just like what's disappointing to me is that WWE didn't see the potential. That's what's disappointing to me is that there was potential here for you to do something different, and what you chose to do was the same old shtick. And I agree with you 1,000,000%, dude. Like, I think I will say this: you have said many things on this podcast, Skinner, that I have agreed with a lot, and I don't mean this in a joking way. Like, you said a lot of things that I agree with a lot. I don't think I've literally on every facet of what you said agree with anything that you said more than what you said about like the character archetype and that it's been done before. And like, if you're going to do it, dude, you're going to have to like go there. You're going to have to really commit, and you're going to have to really do this bit either better than it's ever been done before, or you're going to have to differentiate yourself in a way that makes people pay attention, because these characters like this never get to the top of the card, and it already undercuts the idea of what you are. You can't be smarter than everyone and still lose, bro. Like,
Yeah,
you know
you're
what I'm
right.
saying?
I'm trying to think of anyone that did like this version of this from the start. We've seen other people get to the top and then add this dimension,
Right.
but you're right. I mean, it's the same vein as Bray Wyatt, but there was different stuff. And, Bray Wyatt was not enjoyed. That style wasn't enjoyed by everyone, but I think it's indisputable he made it to the top of the card. But is that kind of the only example of this?
I mean, listen,
they've tried it.
The thing we've seen recently that got the height that it reached was a match against Sami Zayn where he lost, and that was Karrion Kross, because he's been running that shtick the entire time, and it was very much the same.
Now he's throwing and now he's in high school gyms throwing girls through the ceiling tiles.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that.
I'll send it to you. If I had to see it, you have to see it.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that, and I haven't watched his interview with Chris Van Vliet yet either.
I've not either.
Yeah, it's nothing against, in my opinion, for me, it's nothing against Karrion Kross. It's just that was one of those situations. It's very similar, ironically, it's very similar to how I feel on a very small level about this Zelina Vega, Aleister Black stuff. It's not them. It's WWE and missed opportunities, right? I hate seeing opportunities cross your path and you have a viable way of acting on it and you don't. I'm not saying I want WWE to like move mountains, you know what I'm saying? And like disrupt storylines to sink their teeth into something that's got some legs to it. I understand that you're building these things out months and months and months ahead of time. So pivoting like that is not ideal. It's not even what I'm asking for at all. What I'm saying is this Zelina Vega, Aleister Black thing presented itself to you within the confines of the story that you're actively telling. You know what I mean? And nobody saw the benefit in this, at least not enough for you to use it. Right. And then what you come out with is just diametrically opposed to what you presented on SmackDown a few weeks prior. And that to me is the thing that kind of gets to me. Not in a way where like I'm upset or mad or anything, but it's just like it makes me not care. You know what I mean? It makes me not care about what's going on with what WWE is doing with the talent at the time. And I feel bad because I like Zelina Vega. But it's like when I saw that promo vid, I was like, God, come on, man. Like this ain't the way. You know what I mean? This ain't the way. And, you know, in light of the fact that, you know, sure enough, everyone, it does not appear that the stuff with Karrion Kross and Scarlett was a work. The dude is not in WWE. This does not appear to be a work. He is not there.
I saw the quote, and who knows, but he dropped a quote in some interview where he said he was the one getting worked about his departure, and I don't know what the heck that could mean, but
that is interesting. That is interesting. The only thing I could take from that, just off the strength of just what you said, and we're not going to go into this, but it's interesting to think about. To say that it's almost like it is code for those who are in the know about works and shoots, that whatever it was that he feels like he was being told was not real. That's what a work is. You know what I'm saying?
And I've said my piece about Cross here, but I want to go back to just, you touched on, you know, talking about missed opportunities. Yeah. And I agree with you. But my thing is always, and we'll never get answers because we'll never get the curtain pulled back fully behind the machine, and for good reason. And I probably don't actually want the answers more than I enjoy wondering about them and thinking I want the answers. But like, I don't like, we're not this, you know, no offense, but like, I don't think we're the smartest wrestling minds to ever come about, us two. You would think people in WWE know this stuff. So like the things that we see and we're like, that's such a great opportunity. Why didn't they take that? There has to be a reason they didn't. And it doesn't make it suck any less that it didn't happen, or it doesn't mean it's not a mistake, but you always have to wonder, like, what do they see, or what do they think that like we don't? Like, what information or plan are they privy to that we don't have that makes them make the decisions they do sometimes?
Yeah.
And the stuff like, you know, these small little pivots with how Zelina fits into this angle is one of those things. Like, okay, what happened and why? Like, but we'll never know unless, you know, someone comes out and says it in the future, one of the performers. But who knows? Who knows?
No, we'll never know.
Add it to the long list that will grow before, you know, that will grow every week of, you know, potential missed opportunities. So
yeah, dude, the only thing I can attribute it to is the same thing that seems to happen in any facet of life, right? When you're dealing with different levels of perspective, you can't see them all. And that's the reason why one individual or one governing body or one creative unit, right, should be utilizing multiple avenues of connection between different levels of people to gain multiple layers of perspective. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we were experiencing something like that in my job where, you know, management makes a lot of decisions within the confines of management's war room, right? And they don't really talk to us, the employees, on what our thoughts are on the things that they're making decisions on, right? And then what comes out of those meetings, I can understand from one perspective why you make this decision. But from another perspective, it makes zero sense why you'd make this decision, right? But if you don't ever ask us for our opinion, we can't ever give you what it looks like to be receiving something like this from the other side. And that maybe if you heard our opinion, you could at least incorporate it into your decision making so you'd have a more well-rounded perspective in order to make said decision. And I think, you know, if Unreal is any indicator of what that war room looks like, there's like maybe 10 people, 12 at the most, right? Who are in those rooms
at the busiest times,
who are kicking around these stories, right? And I guarantee you, one of those people is not like the social media coordinator. And that would be the only real connection to the outside world outside of WWE officials. And they're probably not checking the Reddit forums to see what people thought about the Zelina Vega, Aleister Black promo vid. So
probably for the best if they don't get their ideas from Reddit, though.
Probably, yeah. I think it'd be better to say absolutely not, because Reddit is a terrible place. But no, seriously, like they just don't. I don't think they have a lot of connection to what's going on outside of, I'm saying, that space. And when you don't have that and you're making decisions just based on who's in that room, yeah, I don't know, man. I think you're always going to have a situation where you're not going to see things until there is a huge groundswell, you know what I'm saying, for something. And it's just super audible and clear to them. And yeah, sometimes you may get a situation like with R-Truth, you know what I mean? Where it's like people just like the outcry is real. It's very, very there. But then it's like when you do something like with Zelina and Aleister here, I don't know. I think you have so many apathetic people who already don't care. And you layer this on and it's just another thing they don't care about. And
in regards to this specifically, I'd say could there be more done to make people care about Aleister Black? Sure. But how much of that also falls on Aleister Black?
A ton.
In that he left for 2-3 years, came back as the same dude doing the same stuff.
I agree. 1000%.
And it's not like, and this is an unfair standard, and I'm not saying he should have done this, but like Cody Rhodes didn't come back the same. Heck, even Rusev came back a little different.
Drew McIntyre came back different.
And he's got totally different. And so like some of that's not, I'm not going to put it all on WWE when he had time to change, but he's still doing the same act that seemingly has the same ceiling everywhere he goes, and then you can't wonder why, you're doing the same thing and getting the same results.
Oh, dude, listen, 1,000%.
Yes, more could be done, but I think it's a two-way street for sure.
Oh, I do. Yeah, absolutely. 1,000%. I absolutely agree with you. I think that's the second thing that you said this podcast episode that I have agreed with more than anything you've ever said. And that is, you came back as the exact same person that they released a number of years ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no change at all. And that is on you, sir. Now, I understand there is branding. I totally understand that. Not everybody gets to come back with the sway and the pull that Cody did. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody gets to do that. Drew McIntyre came back not as Drew Calloway, but he came back as Drew McIntyre because that's the branded name that WWE owns, right? And that's the brand that he made for himself. And granted, he is a completely different person, but he still wears the trunks. He still wears the boots. His general image is still the same. He still wears the kilt. You know what I'm saying?
I'd argue his image is 100% different.
Oh, dude, I agree with you. I don't disagree. What I'm saying is those things that I just named about like the kilt and the trunks and all this stuff in the name, that does not make the character. That is just the branding of the character, right? Cody got to come back, obviously, and keep, Kingdom and, and all these things, which is an exception they made for him. But you don't have to have that exception, right? Aleister Black could come back and they seem to afford you at least the ability to maybe rework your theme music if you want something different, right? But you come back with the same theme music.
Music's not the problem. It's the best part about him.
I honestly, I can't disagree. And I think that's a low bar because I don't really like his music. I don't think it's great. But I think that it was one of the better things of his character, his entire WWE run, was his interest music. And when he used to, come up on that.
I can't tell you, except for the last few months, because it's so recent, anything he did aside from the entrance and the music.
It was all the same. There's literally nothing different about his game. Nothing. That's the reason why I thought what you said was so apropos, because I do remember it was the exact same shtick. The only thing that's different is he doesn't come up on that elevating board anymore in the fog. That is literally the only thing that is different. When he came back, I was genuinely a little stunned because I was like, oh, this is the exact same Aleister Black. Like, to the man's credit, he still looks like he was in the exact same shape he was in when he left, right? Which the man's in phenomenal shape. So I was like, dang, homie, this literally looks like a time portal opened up and Aleister Black walked back through it because he hasn't changed at all. And that's not a good thing. You know what I mean?
Not in his case, no.
Yeah. It's really not. It's really not.
Because he wasn't, he's fine. I'm sure he's a great human being. He's a good performer. I appreciate the sacrifices he makes to entertain us, but he wasn't selling the tickets before, and he ain't selling the tickets now.
No.
So maybe we do something different. Him and the creative behind him. This
agree.
is the most any show will talk about Aleister Black.
I was literally about to say that.
Across the world, I bet.
I was literally about to say that. We have put more conversation into Aleister Black than they have in the writing room. And that's saying something because this podcast, listen, if anybody ever thought that this was your run-of-the-mill podcast where they just talk about the topical things of wrestling, you are in the wrong place. Because despite the fact that Skeena and I could really care less, honestly, about a lot of this Aleister Black stuff, we love wrestling. And so we have these conversations because these conversations matter. And, I'm hoping that this is maybe one of the outlets that you come to kind of get conversations like this that you don't get anywhere else. Because if you work for WWE, it does not appear that you're going to get these conversations in the writing room. So if you're listening and you work for WWE, you're welcome. Take some of this stuff, hand it to your higher ups, go talk to Paul and, see if they can get something started. I don't need Aleister Black to take up more TV time. I just need for you to utilize the time he is on the screen better because there is opportunity there if you're looking for it. And it just does not appear like people's eyes are very open. But this week of wrestling, our week of wrestling from SmackDown to Raw, the episodes prior to our show's episode release, was full of title matches, Skeeter. I think we got, 4 in total? I know we had one on SmackDown.
2 on SmackDown.
Oh, we had 2 on SmackDown. Oh, yeah, we did. Because that world title match was one.
We had 3 on SmackDown.
Okay, we had the tag match.
3. Tag, U.S. title.
Oh, that's right.
And the world title.
And then we had, 3 on Raw?
2.
The tag match.
What am I missing? Tag match, women's Intercontinental.
Rusev Intercontinental. Oh, we had the women's Intercontinental.
Dom defended it. So, yeah. 3 on Raw. I forgot Rusev and Dom was for the title.
So we've had 6 title matches.
Yes.
In 2 days.
They were loading us up.
Listen, I'm not entirely mad at that. But, this is not something that they can keep up, this pace, because they just don't have enough people to rotate in these pictures to keep these title matches going. And they're going to burn through storylines way too quick. But yeah, dude, we had a lot of title matches. Dude. And I thought that they were all pretty freaking good. And we had some title changes.
Really good, I thought.
We had some title changes. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee have now taken the belts.
Really good match.
Away from the Judgment Day. So, yes, absolutely great match. I think, AJ Styles is officially now, guys, on his way out in 2026. WWE has admitted it enough to where even if there isn't a press release, you'd be forgiven.
Well, yeah, they are. They are very clearly talking about it on commentary every time. So.
Right. You'd be forgiven if they turn around and said, nope, that's not true, for thinking that it was. But yeah, so yes, give this man a title run with Dragon Lee. They'll probably, maybe they'll carry it through WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see where else you'd put those tag titles right now.
They kind of just seems like, this was just something to kind of capitalize on the renewed little heat behind AJ after a great match with Cena, and just to kind of to dislodge those titles from the Judgment Day.
Yeah,
because they were just kind of sitting there, not doing a whole lot. And I like how they did it obviously leading into the match, Dom, uh, you know, on accident gets the tag team titles put on the line where he's trying
Oh
week
yeah.
before when he's trying to talk about he's the only guy that has to defend his title.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought that was an excellent match, kept me entertained. The spot where Dragon Lee jumped over JD McDonough to break up the pin, I thought was really good. They got me on that false finish there. And there was another one earlier that JD broke up that was great. They just had some great camera work where you couldn't see him in frame until like the last second when he broke it up. But really good match, and yeah, it'll be fun because I think I like Dragon Lee. There's something there, but we gotta find out what it is. But I like it.
Dude, listen, I thought that match was great as well. I thought that pin breakup was awesome. Look, AJ Styles, dude, you're hard pressed to get a bad match out of that guy. And Dragon Lee is an exceptional professional wrestler, on top of the fact he's an exceptional luchador. And I think that you're spot on as well. I think that there's something here with Dragon Lee. I think the problem you run into with luchadors is the same problem you run into, like I was talking about earlier, with tall athletic blondes. You have to find a way to differentiate yourself. And with luchas, it makes it even more difficult because their faces are covered. So you have to then get behind the lucha gimmick. And oftentimes it's centered around the mask. That is the culture, right? It's the reason why there was rumor for a time that when Fraxium got brought up to the main roster, that they were thinking about breaking up Axiom and Nathan Frazier, because they saw something in Axiom the same way they saw with what is that dude's name? He was a luchador that came up and he had another full face mask and he wrestled. He used to jump over the top rope when he would come to do his ring entrance. They made a big deal out of him. Sin Cara. And
so I think, you said jump over the top rope, and this, go ahead, and then I'll get to my point.
Oh yeah, I was just saying, I think that they saw something, in him the same way. Now, luckily they kept Fraxium together, and you just need more time. I think you would serve both those characters better, particularly them as separate entities, to build up a storyline where they split up. I think I think it serves all tag teams better when you do that instead of just quietly separating. But when it comes to these luchas, I mean, they got to have some personality, and I think that is on them the same way we were talking about with Aleister Black, right?
And part of the reason why more than ever, because they're all amazing in the ring and can do amazing things, but that's also the problem, is they can all do that,
right? Like
you said, the guy that jumped over the ropes, and I'm like, yeah, they all jump over the ropes and springboard off the ropes and do crazy flips and risk their lives and necks every week, but again, that's the problem. They can all do that. So you've got to, that used to be a differentiator. Now it's not. Now every single luchador, you just expect, we're going to see some stuff where he's jumping and flipping all over the place. Yeah. It's no longer an outlier. It's an expectation.
Oh, I agree. And listen, and obviously, I meant when Sin Cara used to springboard in his entrance from outside the ring. Yeah, that was, the trampoline, that springboard, right, over the top rope, right? That was always cool. But yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. Look, even in this scenario, I think with acts like Stephanie Vaquer, with acts like Penta specifically to this situation, the language barrier is something that, like the mask, you have to work against. Right? Because that's something that could be a hindrance between you and connecting with an American audience. But like with Penta has just got all of the juice, dude. Like, the dude's got swag for days. And he's just got that it factor about him, right? Mm-hmm. Despite the fact that along with his lucha mask and the face paint, his face is completely obscured, right? But his entrance is captivating. It's unique, right? His style of wrestling is like luchadors in a lot of ways, but he also does some moves that kind of separate himself from the rest of them too, where he does things that seem a little bit more mat technical wrestling along with the lucha style, which works for American professional wrestling. And dude, he's just got it. He can work around the language barrier and the mask. So it's not a handicap that wrestlers cannot overcome. And that's why when I look at luchadors like Dragon Lee or even like Rey Fenix right now, you have got to give something. You have to put a little bit of effort into differentiating yourself outside of what it is that you're doing in the ring. Because like you said so appropriately, every lucha out here is killing it. You know what I mean? But the wrestler who is AAA mega champion and intercontinental champion wears a mask 8% of the time. That's usually during an entrance, right? And he's not the greatest in the ring on a lucha standard, but he's got all the personality in the world. You know what I mean? And that works way better in a lot of cases than your ring ability, is. It's interesting because I keep coming back to Aleister Black. Dude can go in the ring. He's got all the martial arts prowess in the world, but he's got the personality of a paper plate. And at least his character in the ring does, right?
Right, yeah.
His character in the ring does. And when your personality is so bland like that, it's just nothing for people to really latch on to besides what you do in the ring. And, I don't know. You have to do something different. You have to figure it out. I'm happy for Dragon Lee.
Back to make yourself different, make yourself stand out. We've gotten to this in like 3 segments, this same point. That's like the theme of this week.
Dude, it's a trend. It's generally a trend.
But that's wrestling and always has been.
Oh, for sure.
Make yourself stand out.
Absolutely. Different. Absolutely. Well, and listen, the opposite of this trend is Maxine Dupree. Maxine Dupree and Becky Lynch battled for the Intercontinental Championship, which, by the way, we had another DQ finish with a title by the champion. Like, I don't know if this is lazy writing here, but when I saw Becky do this on Monday, I was like, didn't we just see this with Cody? Like, we just saw this with Cody. Yes, 2 different perspectives from somebody who's perceived to be a hero, right? But we just saw somebody who's a champ get out of losing their title by hitting someone with the belt. And if I'm not mistaken, twice in the same night, we saw heel champions in the middle of the match get out the ring, go grab their titles, and go to leave. Becky and Dom both did the exact same thing.
Yeah, but that's in the playbook.
Yeah, but there are more plays.
That's what you get when you have multiple championship matches.
I mean, there are more plays, though. There are more plays in the playbook. And listen, they executed differently. So let me not throw shade in that department. I'm just calling the balls and strikes here. But like I was saying, Maxine, completely different. We were talking about Maxine earlier, right? She was in the conversation about the tall, athletic blondes. And to her credit, this isn't a discredit to her, of those 4 people that we were talking about, Sol Ruca, Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton, right? I think she's probably the least athletic of the 4. I don't think that's an overstatement at all. But she's carrying with her this energy and a desire to just really perform and show out. And she just got her character in a space where she's really honing in on who this character is. You know what I mean? And it's great. The match was wonderful. It was one of the matches I was genuinely looking forward to on Monday, was this match with Maxine and Becky. Did I think Maxine was going to win? Honestly, at one point, I thought they might.
Right? Yeah. And that's always a sign of a well-told story and well-done matches. That you start to wonder if what you're sure and isn't going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I for a second, I thought it was going to, happen. And then I remembered that she is from Sacramento and they were in Sacramento. And I was like, oh, that's not happening. They're not going to give it to her now. You got to take it away. That's in the wrestling rule book, that if you are competing for the championship in your hometown, you will lose. But it was a great match though. And I genuinely hope that WWE sees that Maxine Dupree can be a star. At least somebody who is a good hand that you can put in a prime time spot in the mid card. And I'll tell you this, seeing her in Sacramento in front of her crowd, in front of her hometown fans in his championship match against Becky Lynch, I just imagine for a hot second, Skeener, what her career trajectory can look like once she separates from the Alpha Academy. Like, what does Maxine Dupree look like when she gets her own entrance music and her own entrance theme? What character can she be or become outside of the plucky upstart from Alpha Academy who nobody thought could, you know what I mean? Could make it on her own. Where they could go with that is anybody's guess, but I'm all the way here to see it. But I know this is your girl, though. What are your thoughts on the match?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, it's always going to be what it was. You know, it's not going to be a technical masterpiece, but you can see that Maxine's getting more confidence in the ring. I think it's probably the right word. She's not as hesitant in things, and which just makes everything flow better. Obviously, it's easier when you're in there with one of the best of all time in Becky, but you're right. She's got potential to break out as a huge star. I think we're going to carry this probably through Saturday night's main event or maybe Survivor Series, but obviously I wouldn't think this interaction with Becky Lynch is done, and she can springboard from there.
Yeah.
I don't know if she necessarily needs to distance herself. Her own identity beyond Alpha Academy would be nice, but I'm fine if Otis and Tozawa stay around her.
Oh, for sure.
And if they want to model occasionally as well, wouldn't hurt my feelings.
Listen, I don't disagree. I think that you can keep Otis and Tozawa around and maybe drop the Alpha Academy part. Do you know what I'm saying?
Because it's weird that we're still doing that this far into this.
Yeah, I think we can drop the Alpha Academy thing. I don't think we need to be associated with,
especially since their sensei has moved on.
That's what I was about to say.
Adopted a new identity, and like it's weird that they would still be carrying that on.
Yeah, that's literally what I was about to say. Yeah.
I guess the brand and the recognition from the first couple notes of that music means more than it doesn't right now. So we'll see.
Yeah. Listen, I'll say this. This may be a hot take, but hey, look, it's my podcast. I say what I want. I think Maxine Dupree, from a character perspective with regards to professional wrestling and what it means to be a professional wrestler in the ring, not just athletic ability and what you can do physically in the ring, but getting it as what professional wrestling is, from your mannerisms to how you handle yourself in the ring to throwing yourself 1000% into your character. I think at this early stage, bro, I think she gets it more than Tiffany Stratton does. I think she gets it more than Tiffany does. I don't think
that's a hot take. I mean,
okay.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Or at least she's been able to do it better, but different circumstances, obviously.
Sure. Different circumstances all around. But at the very same time, the things that I think that I'm commenting on that Maxine does well, Tiffany Stratton has every opportunity to do them in every match she's in, and she has more opportunities to do it. But I don't see it, right? Like I'm on WWE.com, right? And I'm on the section for Becky and Maxine's title match. And the shot on this little screenshot right before you play the video is right before Becky hits Maxine with the championship, right? And Maxine is holding up her fingers to the ref like that was a 3 count, right? The look on her face tells you everything. This one picture, still shot, if I never saw the match, I could look at this still of the look on her face and her holding the 3 up and Becky's about to hit her in the back with the belt, and it tells me everything I need to know about the story. I could not pick a still shot out of a Tiffany Stratton match and tell you exactly what was going on with each wrestler outside of what may be happening beat-wise in the match. And I think those are the intangible things that you can't teach, right? Some people get it and some people don't. And I think that part of Tiffany Stratton's problem is that I think she is a phenomenal professional wrestler. I think that she can really go in the ring. I think her gymnast background makes her just perfect as a dance partner. You know what I mean? And I think when she's put in a situation where she's cutting curated promos, I think she does pretty good. She's certainly improved quite a bit. But there are some intangibles, brother, that you cannot teach. And some people have it and some people don't. And I think that there are certain things that Tiffany Stratton just does not have naturally. Whereas I think Maxine has it. You know who else I think is somebody who naturally has these intangible it factors? Chelsea Green. Mm-hmm. I think Chelsea Green, I love Chelsea Green. And I love Chelsea Green. I love Chelsea Green. She's great.
I think we all do.
I think we all do as well. I think Chelsea has the intangibles. She has those it factors about her that you cannot teach. She just gets it. And she moves and she walks and she talks, and the way she carries herself in her promos, in her interviews, and her mannerisms in the micro sections of the match is what sell her for me every time. She does not ever have to make it to the top of the card. And I will love her regardless because she gets pro wrestling. You know what I mean? And I think that Maxine is someone else who gets pro wrestling. She could sell me on the fact that she loves professional wrestling. Tiffany Stratton hasn't sold me yet on the fact that she loves professional wrestling.
Here's what I always consider, though. Is her biggest, Tiffany right now, is her biggest albatross around her neck that she wins so much?
No.
That you don't think so?
No.
I think it's tough to not. I mean, wasn't that like her first loss of the year?
Yeah, at Crown Jewel.
So, like, I don't know. It's different. You have more time and space to develop your character when you lose sometimes, let alone lose a lot, than when you never lose and your back's never against the wall. And that's not treading new ground. We've talked about that with Tiffany before. And pretty much every character is that unless you face adversity, there's no real room or reason for a character to grow. But I don't know. I just think her winning so much all the time doesn't help. It may not be the main issue, but it certainly doesn't do anything to help.
Okay, so
you've got to be a very special and adored performer with a lot of our buzzword equity to win all the time and have people not start to turn on you.
Right. Well, listen, people are going to turn on you anyway if you win all the time. That to me is not an indicator of whether or not that. Oh, let me rephrase. That to me is not the reason.
No, I get
why
it, and I know that's not what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm with you.
It doesn't help.
No, it doesn't help because I think when you're not orbiting the title scene, it opens up the possibility for different angles of storytelling that can land for you and your character. I think that's why you got more growth from a Charlotte Flair when you moved her away from the world championship scene. You know what I'm saying? Like when you moved her away, we got more opportunity to introduce different facets around her that we could see what stuck to the wall, what worked. You know what I'm saying? We can try some things. There's less risk here. And you can do that when you take someone away from the title picture. Right? When you put them around the title picture, you still have the opportunity to tell these stories, but depending on where the title goes is going to determine what the outcome is of the adverse situations that you're placed against, right? Because every match is an adverse situation, unless you were Roman Reigns during that 4-year title run, right? Where you had all the cards stacked in your favor. But even then...
I mean, is Tiffany on her way to a 4-year run?
No, she's not. No, I think she, honestly, no disrespect to Tiffany Stratton, but I think she's still the champion because they ain't found nobody to take it off of her. Like, the roster's not deep. We literally went over this earlier in the episode. The roster's not deep, and there's only a 3-person rotation in the championship picture. Her, Jade Cargill, and Nia Jax. And you're not about to put the title back on Nia Jax. And we just had Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton. So everybody she faces at this point, unless you're talking about a major call-up, ain't nobody taking that belt off of her. Like, we were literally just talking about the idea that, like, Tiffany Stratton is going to be facing Kiana James. Are you kidding? They have nobody to take that belt off of her. So I don't think she's winning on this level of dominance. Just like, who else you going to put in that match? You got no one else. Listen, we talked about this many times before. The booking decision that made all this happen was moving Naomi away from that title scene. When you moved her away from that title scene and you put her in the world championship title scene, you took all the juice away from that. You took all of it. You know what I'm saying? And because Bianca's not back, you don't have that pillar to lean on. That's the only person I can see right now, honestly, unless they do a major call-up.
Honestly, you know, maybe that's something, because we would have thought, I would have bet a substantial sum of money that she would be back by now. So maybe she just keeps getting set back and they're just
maybe
trying to buy time, but
it's possible, dude. That seems like that she is a very prestigious and well-kept holdover champion. And damn, saying that out of my mouth sounded disrespectful as hell. I didn't mean it to sound that way, but I think Tiffany Stratton's title run has been somewhat lackluster and has lasted longer than I thought it was going to, because had things gone the way I thought it was going to, she was going to lose that championship at Evolution. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought she was going to drop that title at Evolution, but that did not happen.
I think we thought she was going to do it at SummerSlam with Naomi and Jade in the mix, but you're right. As we talk about all the time, that's kind of where all this went awry, and they still haven't found their way out of it.
No. The two biggest call-ups that you've had in the women's division have been Stephanie Vaquer and Julia, and one of them's in the mid-card scene, and the other is world champion on the other show. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have nobody who's legitimately going to be able to take that title off of her. And you saw what they were willing to do.
I mean, we got to think we're going into Julia and Tiffany because of... I don't think the large program is Kiana James, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think it is. I certainly don't think they're going to go with Kiana James. She ain't got it either. Like, she has a decent talking game, but I don't think that she is sold with the fans. I don't think she's over with the fans, and I don't think they're going to do that route. If they were to drop the title off of Tiffany Stratton to Kiana James, boy, you can chalk up Tiffany Stratton as an L, a big fat L. Like, that is just showing you that you were the carryover champion that some of us thought you might be. But no, I don't think they're certainly going to do that. And I could see what you're saying, right? Because it can't stop at Kiana James. But unless we get something on SmackDown through the end of the year where somebody just happens to take that U.S. title off of Julia, I don't see them going double champ mode on Julia. Because as good as Julia is, dude, I don't get it. I don't get Julia. I don't see why she was such a big deal to bring in. I think she's a good professional wrestler, but when it comes to her character, her presentation on screen, I just have not seen it. Stephanie Vaquer has sucked up all that light. You know what I'm saying? She really has sucked up all that attention.
They got to figure some of this stuff out on SmackDown, but that's nothing we haven't been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Yeah, no, very, very true, man. Very true. But I mean, look, when it comes to Raw, they seem to be nailing a lot of stuff. They seem to be getting a lot of things right. And, you know, there are still some things, to be fair, that Raw it's fine. It's fine. At least it's interesting, right? Like, so what I'm thinking about is, Miz coming out for the open challenge prior to Ilya Dragunov, right? And Carmelo Hayes attacking him before the match starts, getting that payback from Miz taking him out of the U.S. Open Challenge. I'm praying that we get an end to this at Saturday night's main event so that Carmelo Hayes can move on and do something else. I would love to see Melo. Let him sink or swim on his own, yeah.
Yeah. Melo needs to be able to go and do his thing. I think this partnership with him and Miz has served a purpose, and it served a purpose in a way that I didn't foresee it actually doing when they first opted to do this. But I think that is giving him the opportunity to stay on television. I think the Miz is a consummate professional. I like the Miz. And so putting him in this situation with Melo has given him what will be the foundation for his character growth and character development over the years, right? As he climbs the ladder. I would love to see Melo be put in some other positions where he can really shine. And right now is the perfect time for him to be going in and out of this feud with The Miz while Survivor Series is the only major pay-per-view left for the year. And going into WrestleMania season, he can free up to do the Royal Rumble. He can free up for Elimination Chamber, possibly. You know what I mean? Or even getting into the mid-card scene. At some point, somebody's going to take that title off of Dom. And I don't know who that's going to be. They've got a wide open space to kind of flesh out who's going to challenge Dom and eventually take that IC belt off of him. But, I think that this was a good way to use Melo. And it's a good way to keep the story fresh and interesting. But yeah, I think the only thing that was kind of rough that was SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been no structure to this. We've been back and forth.
Yeah. We've been back and forth. So, yeah, okay. So the women's world champion, Stephanie Vaquer, defeats Roxanne Perez. This was a non-title match. But, so we got Nikki Bella back. And
we did, and I was so sure Liv Morgan's music was going to hit during that beatdown.
Really?
But, yeah, I thought that was it. But it makes more sense not to. But that's just where my brain went to.
I wonder how close she is to being back. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like we're hinting at a few things now that maybe they're starting to lean into because the timing is right for Liv's return. With Roxanne not being focused on what it is that she's about to do and being focused on catering to Dom. And they kind of hinted to that in the backstage segment before her match when JD and Finn left to go get ready for their match. And she was talking to Dom about, don't be too worried about your match with Rusev. You got this. And then Raquel is like, hey, you need to focus. Don't worry about that. Stop. Like, you need to focus on your match that's coming up. I could see a world where, I don't know, maybe Dom loses a championship. Roxanne comes to his aid and to console him in a way that's a little over the line. And then Liv's music hits and Liv's back. I agree with you. I think it's perfect time for Liv to come back because her infusion into this women's scene would be greatly appreciated. And they've been building what seems like forever, these storylines within the Judgment Day, and they need to get paid off like ASAP.
Yeah, for sure. It just can't do anything till Liv's back. You're not gonna break up the Judgment Day or do anything major until she gets back, which is hopefully soon, you would think. Yeah.
I mean, we've been seeing her literally in a bunch of other places that have nothing to do with the wrestling ring. And, if they're promoting something, for Riyadh season, we'll see her there. But I'm just hoping we get her back soon. So there's a couple other things we want to touch on. And I think these are the big things of Monday Night Raw. We already talked about Becky and her threatening of bodily harm and mortal violence against one Paul Heyman. But this also stems from...
nice to see that, because I guess I didn't think about that as the angle of the Vision breakup is how is Becky going to fit into that and take that. But I guess we found that out real quick.
Yeah, we're real quick, because that whole instant followed the promo that opened the show after the Vision ran Adam Pearce off. When he's announcing that there's going to be a battle royal at the end of tonight's episode to determine who's going to challenge CM Punk for the vacated World Heavyweight Championship. And then Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and one Paul Heyman show up. And first of all, they make Adam Pearce say pretty please before they can take the belt from Braun Breaker, which... That dude is it, man. Like I'm so ready for them to pull the trigger fully on him, but I'm willing to wait because they've got it. And listen, Bronson Reed is way better in this position than I ever thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be great. in this,
Same.
but
I had
like,
no has well outperformed whatever expectations I may have had.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And just this 2-man power trip of him and Braun, I like it. I genuinely like it. And I like Paul's, duplicity here, right? The two-faced nature of Paul Heyman, where he's out here cutting his promo with the Bronze about Seth Rollins was the weak link and that this vision was never one that was in the image of Seth Rollins, and that he joined this because Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are the future and not Seth and his broken carcass. And this is followed up with, Heyman backstage waiting for Adam Pearce to come to the door, only for Adam Pearce to tell Heyman how he has had to work so hard because he's had to have the graphic changed mid-show to remove Braun and Bronson from the from the Battle Royal to determine the number one contender, which, he then makes Paul Heyman beg as well and say, pretty please. And even after doing so, he still says no. Paul then turns around and is face to face with one irate Becky Lynch. And I love how when Becky corners him, Paul then shows his duplicity and how he was in an impossible situation that Braun and Bronson made a decision and then they forced him to make one. And he had to make the decision that he had to make because he's a survivor and he's going to survive. And Seth, unfortunately, did not survive. And now he's got to do what he has to do. But the vision can still include you, that you're the breadwinner now. And,
Yep.
What decision is going to work best for Becky Lynch? And then Becky yokes Penguin up by his tie and says, I'm not falling for your crap, Paul. You don't have to worry about me because Seth already knew about you. He already knew everything that you were going to do, and he was wondering how long it was going to actually take you to stab him in the back. But don't worry. When he comes back...
That is, I forgot she had said that. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because if he really was thinking that, he picked, he's pretty stupid turning his back at the time he did, Ben.
Well, unless of course...
But I guess it wasn't Paul.
Yeah.
That stabbed him in the back. It was Braun.
I mean, listen,
so maybe I answered my own question.
Even if he knew, right, that at some point Braun and Bronson were going to stab him in the back, because that seemed more evident by, watching the product, that they would have turned back its back first, right? I think there's a difference between knowing what's coming and being able to avoid what's coming, right? I think you could be the mastermind who's 3 steps ahead, right? And know that 3 steps ahead, these guys are going to turn on you. But also knowing that, like, it's unavoidable. They're going to turn, right? There's no way that I'm going to avoid this. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be champion. Because if Seth's goal underneath it all was to be champion and to, mold the business in his image, right? Then maybe what that required was him to take on Braun and Bronson, bring on Paul. This was going to allow him to reach his goal of getting the championship. And then at some point, these guys were going to turn on him. And then he was going to have to take care of them too. And you know what I'm saying? And that is the grand totality of his scheme. He's going to take some lumps on the path to getting this done. And so I thought it was interesting too, for Becky to kind of play that angle where you didn't think Seth knew. You didn't think he knew that you guys were going to turn on him. He was just wondering why it took you guys so long. But make no mistake about it, when he comes back, he's going to kill you. And I'm like,
just straight up kill him.
Okay, so we're talking about murder. Got it. I will be holding my pin next to my crime counter when Seth Rollins comes back, because apparently we're going to see a homicide when Rollins gets back. But yeah, dude, that storyline right there, despite the hiccup, which that sucks, but you text me, I believe, prior to SmackDown on Friday.
Yeah, when I guess, because I typically try to avoid spoiler slash dirt sheet stuff
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean, I see what I see because if you're a wrestling fan and you're on social media, you're going to see it. But I'm not out there searching for it and looking for the latest news. But yeah, that's when I found out. Oh, Seth's hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, when in watching that match, I kind of figured he was hurt. Like, to be fair, and this is not tooting my own horn at all. I promise I'm not. But when Seth feigned the knee injury prior to SummerSlam, I was not one of the people who thought that he was actually hurt. I thought it was probably a work. And the reason I thought it then is the same reason why I thought that he was actually hurt in the Crown Jewel Perth match. There's just something about how the human body responds to trauma that is real, that when you see it happen for real, it's just certain things that ring true. And like, first of all, that landing on that coast to coast headbutt, whatever it was he was doing right there, that landing was gnarly to begin with, right? That was the one thing. The second thing was his immediate reaction to that landing. And then the subsequent inability to use that hand despite not playing to it whatsoever in the match, to me was all I needed to know to think he's probably hurt, dude. Like that, he seems like he was hurt. And then before you had messaged me about him being injured, I saw a picture online of somebody in Australia who had taken a picture with him outside of some building, and he had his arm in a sling.
Mm.
And I was like, huh.
That's a pretty good sign.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that maybe it's not bad, but maybe it's something that they definitely are going to, like, you know, be watching. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
you usually
take it
don't
easy.
you usually don't get a sling unless it's gonna take you out.
Yeah, and I mean, see, I thought that maybe it was something where it's like, okay, look, they got him in a sling. You know, there's something up with his shoulder for sure, but maybe they're gonna you know, send him in, take a look at some stuff, keep an eye on it. You know what I mean? And we don't know to what extent, you know, it was. But when you said he was injured, I was like, okay, yeah, he probably was really hurt at Crown Jewel. And, you know, they're pivoting if they have to. But let me tell you something. That move that they did after Crown Jewel Perth, hot-shotting the excommunication of Seth from the Vision, executed perfect. And they just landed that, you know what I'm saying, 5 stars on that landing. And it just set up the groundwork for, even if you're doing this battle royal to determine who's going to compete against CM Punk for the vacated World Heavyweight Championship, instead of leaning into what we already have with Braun Breaker carrying around this title as if he's a champion, which honestly, that's all I thought they were going to do. When they showed up at the arena and Braun had the belt, I was like, how dope would it be if he's walking around and he just refuses to give the title back?
That's what I thought was going to happen in the opening, is I didn't think he was going to give it back.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought, and when Paul was doing his facial expressions, right, I thought, okay, so we're going to continue to go down this road of Braun just defying expectations. And
Paul can't, he's such a loose cannon, Paul can't control him.
Absolutely. That's where I thought we were going with that. And when we didn't do that, I was kind of like, but you've built enough equity with me with how well you've been telling this story, even with the pivot, that I'm willing to take the backstage segment where Braun is like, after they talk with Paul, and Paul gave the rundown of all the people who could have been the top guy when they first got the opportunity, and how if you just listen to him, you'll turn out like some of the rest of these people who are.
Yeah, and what did we do? We mentioned the name. That's all we need. Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
If you say the name, he stays on the mind.
Yeah.
That's all I ask for.
Well, and listen, I think that's an appropriate way to mention Brock Lesnar in the history of Paul Heyman Paul Heyman guys and how they've gotten over, you know what I'm saying, over the years. And particularly because it is appropriate for the situation that, listen, just trust me. Now is not the time. When the time is right, I will let you know. And when you strike, it will be beyond belief how big it is for you. And you'll be just like the Brock Lesnar's and the CM Punks. And you'll be that guy. And, you know, Braun, for what it's worth, is like, I guess I have a lot to learn. He said something else after that, though, that I thought was cool. I can't remember exactly what he said. But
I forgot what he said, but yeah, I enjoyed that segment because it got him out of a tough situation.
Yeah.
Kind of, which is you want to have this battle royal, and how do you do it without, you know, having those two guys in it and having one of them win it? Like,
Yeah.
Aren't they the most dominant force? Wouldn't one of them win it unless they imploded, which you're not going to do now? So having them accept because of Paul's guidance not being in the match, I thought was a good move.
Yeah. So this takes us to the end of the card where we had the Battle Royal to determine who was going to compete against CM Punk. I'm assuming this is happening at Saturday night's main event?
It is.
Okay. So we had this Battle Royal. It's a pretty good Battle Royal as well, too. And the
It's been
big
a while since we've seen one on TV with like consequences. So
yes.
I enjoyed it.
And genuinely with
Not consequences, but stakes.
Yeah, I got you.
I was looking for.
And genuinely with the outcome being up in the air, because all of this is being built off this pivot right now. And so who are they going to pit against CM Punk? Because this match is supposed to be Punk versus Rollins. So we're adding someone into this match for this this vacated world championship. And there's a possibility that they could pivot away from putting the title on Punk right now to give it to him at Mania 42. But there's also a big possibility he could win it at Saturday night's main event and go into WrestleMania season as champ.
I think they gave us the best result for putting that match's result up in the air.
Sure.
Because, I mean, I'm sure everyone that's listening knows, if you didn't know, Jey Uso comes out on top in the Battle Royal and is going to face CM Punk for the title at Saturday night's main event. I could see either one of them winning it. I could see giving it to Punk because he's probably, I was going to say arguably, but probably not, even arguably, he's the top guy on Monday Night Raw. Or, you know, give it to Jey and keep going with this story that they've been building between Jey and Roman and Jimmy and been doing a great job, and we got another good twist on Monday.
Yes, we did. Which let's get to that now because that brings me
that's
to
the main thing to take out, I believe.
Listen, I think it's certainly the main thing, but it's not the only thing. So the match concludes with Jey Uso being the winner. He did so after he was saved from elimination by Jimmy, who was also in the match. Now, there have been some backstage goings on between Jimmy and Jey with some disagreements about how they should be approaching things, both as singles competitors, as tag team, as brothers, with regard to Roman, his influence, and his presence. But they decide they're going to go out here to this Battle Royal, and it's going to be mano a mano, that everyone's going to go out here and they're going to wrestle, and that they're going to take care of business, and may the best man win. But Jimmy, on multiple occasions, comes to Jey's aid, and he prevents Jey from getting eliminated at least once. But then Jimmy eliminates, who does he eliminate with the super kick? He eliminates someone. And then
I don't remember exactly.
He and Jimmy and who was Jimmy on the ropes with that he went over, and then Jey pushed them both over? Do you remember who that is?
No.
Okay.
I'm losing I do not remember the specifics. No. Was it LA Knight, or did it come down to LA Knight and Jey afterwards?
It might have been LA Knight. It might have been LA. Yeah, it was. Okay. So So
I think
AJ
it was
Styles,
Jimmy and LA Knight.
So yeah, the last few people in this, I got the clip going right now. So it looks like LA Knight and yep. So Jimmy and LA Knight go over the top rope, but they're hanging halfway over the top rope. Jay sees this, and then he runs over and flips them both out of the ring.
Yes.
He flips them both out of the ring, and I believe that was the end of the match. That was the win, right?
No. Yep. No, he still had to eliminate Rey Mysterio, I think.
Rey Mysterio, was he in this match?
Or
No, Dom.
Not Ray, Dom, I'm sorry.
Okay, so yeah, it was Dom. Dom was still in the match, and then Dom tried to hit him with the 619, and Jay threw him over the top rope. But coming from the end of this, Jimmy was irate. He was furious at Jay. And Jay is looking at Jimmy like, what did you expect to happen? So.
Yeah, Big Jim was the one that was like, I guess it's every man for himself then.
True. And listen, I get it. It's every man for himself. But I guess in your mind, you're like, it's going to come down to me and you. And Jay's like, I'm going to win this match by any means necessary. And so that's what he did. Now, Punk gets in the ring. Punk and Jay go head to head. This is our match for Saturday night's main event. How is this match going to play out? I don't know. I, too, could see this going either way. But here's my thing. If you put the belt on Punk, you miss out on giving him his championship run start at WrestleMania, meaning him winning the title at 42. But he does get the championship, and he gets to go into WrestleMania with the title. It gives you room to pivot with his story. When Seth comes back, he can get his pound of flesh from the Vision, and you can step back into...
Is the story of him winning the title at Mania as impactful if he doesn't win it from Seth at Mania, would be my thing.
Well, and that's the thing. So that was what I'm getting to, right? Which is, you can go back, if he's got the belt going into Mania season, you can get back to him and Seth, right? For a match at WrestleMania 42 if Seth is healthy. Because Seth can get his pound of flesh from the Vision. You can get back to that story, and then it can be Seth versus Punk. You can build on the fact that Seth has always talked about how Punk will never be champion, how he was roasting him for his short-term championship run, right? And now he's the champion going into Mania. You can tell some stories there off of that. If you put the belt on Jay, yes, you can lean into what they've been building with the story between Jay and Jimmy and Roman. I don't see, however, that story being as interesting of a potential championship match with Jay versus Jimmy, and Jay is the world champ, because I feel like that's where they're going with this story currently. Now, unless they pivot completely away from this, which that would suck for Big Jim, because he's going to get left behind here. And then when you go into Punk and Seth, when Seth comes back, I mean, how do you even get the title involved when the title is no longer in your storyline? It's somewhere else, right? And you don't have a cash-in to use. You don't have any backdoor way to get that belt onto someone yet. And so for me, it seems like the plausible solution would be for Punk to go over Jay at Saturday night's main event, start his title run prior to WrestleMania season, and then you can work your story with Seth and Punk still with the title in it, except Seth is no longer the champion, right? You could do that. And then, you can carry the Jay and the Jimmy story with Roman as is, because that story has been moving without that title in the picture anyway. I could even see you going a route where, maybe you do something a little different with Punk. Maybe Punk has had some master plan in place to pay Seth back for all of the heartache for a while. Maybe he and Paul have been talking. Maybe Punk wins his title, and then, I don't know, maybe you pivot toward a face Rollins against a heel Punk. Who knows?
It's going to be hard for CM Punk to be a heel
you
in 2025. So? Yeah.
I think he's got the ability to make the fans, let me rephrase. I don't say make the fans hate him, but I think he has earned enough equity with the fans to be able to play the role of the heel and get the boos. I think he can go out to an arena and say the right things and do the right things to get people to boo him, because they will be willing to play ball with him and play their contractual obligation of being the fans that boo the heel, because he's good at what he does. I don't think he's going to be in a situation where it's Punk, and though he's trying to be the bad guy, people just cheer him anyway. I don't think it's going to happen. I think if he went heel and they played their cards right, I think they could make it work. And honestly, I think Punk does his best work when he's a heel. I always thought that his straight edge society run, I loved that. Like, he's maniacal. He is diabolical as a heel. And I think he does it better than a lot of people.
I think that's a great idea. I don't know if they do it.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be kind of the coolest way to get there. But right now, I'm not sure who's going to win, which is a good thing. I lean slightly towards Punk right now because of all the reasons you said, and because I think, we were probably targeting Seth and Punk for the title at WrestleMania, and Punk getting his big Mania title win off his big nemesis. But now with them being unsure whether that'll happen, you probably can't wait and kick the can and just hope. Or maybe they're not unsure. Maybe they know right now when Seth's going to be ready and when he won't. So
maybe,
but who knows? But
you could always do a 3-way.
We'll see. We'll probably get more clarity in the. Well, I was going to say coming weeks, but we've only got one more Raw until Saturday night's main event, so we won't get that much more clarity.
Yeah,
but
I mean, listen, either way you slice it, dude, whoever wins this match at Saturday night's main event, one thing WWE could do is a 3-way match at WrestleMania. Right? Currently on the list of PLEs, you have 2 ways to qualify for a championship match at WrestleMania. You've got Elimination Chamber and you've got the Rumble, right? You could have one of those guys, whoever loses his match, right, could qualify for a championship match via one of those 2 matches. Seth could come back into the picture and win the other one. You know what I'm saying? And now you've got a 3-way for the championship. And you merge these stories together. That's also an interesting way to then move from WrestleMania into the rest of the year, moving in a direction of Seth versus Roman, because you're intertwining these stories again. You know what I'm saying? It's a way to go about doing it.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to bust both shots from your qualifiers for the men on one match? Who knows? But it's an interesting way. And listen, one of the best WrestleMania main events we ever had was Daniel Bryan versus Batista versus Triple H, right? For the title?
No, Randy Orton.
Randy Orton.
Because Bryan wrestled Triple H in the opener to get into the match.
Right. Listen, the triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins versus Jey Uso. Whoever's holding the title is whoever's holding the title. That would be a great WrestleMania night 1 or night 2 main event, in my opinion. But hey, you know what? We don't work in the writer's room. And the great thing about when you tell great stories is that you leave branching arcs for things to happen. We just need the writers.
I think either outcome is very plausible.
Yeah.
And very, you can get behind either one. Because I think it would be a fun turn in the Uso saga that this opportunity came up and Jay takes it and becomes champ again, and just that leads to further conflict between him and Jimmy, and Roman comes back in, and now Roman's got to mentor Jay in how to be the champion, because Roman wasn't around last time he was champion. So now he can be there and tell Jay, no, you got to do this when you're the guy, and don't do this, and that just furthers that divide. So I can see fun things they can do with that too, even though they don't need the title, and it's so far been centered around Jay having to be more tribal chief-like in order to get the title back. I think it'd be a fun thing to see him having to act like the tribal chief with the title, and see how Jimmy reacts to that. So
yeah,
I'd be fine either way, which is
I can see that.
a good place to be. And I think I think they'll put on a good match. And look, hey, more good stuff for us to look forward to. There's always silver linings in these unfortunate injuries in wrestling because it leads to more uncertainty and unexpected happenings and opportunities for other people.
Oh, dude, I agree. And listen, I could see that happening too. That's actually a good way to get Punk to have a WrestleMania victory where he wins the championship, right? Like if it's a three-way and in this Saturday night's main event match, this one-on-one, Jay wins the championship, right? And like you said, Roman can be in his ear now and, you know, trying to show him how to be the head of the table. And this leads to more dissension between Jimmy and Jay. As a matter of fact, you could include Jimmy as a part of the reason why Jay ends up not being the victor at WrestleMania 42. You know what I'm saying? Which leads to a Jimmy versus Jay match or somewhere down the line, maybe at SummerSlam or something, right? And then, yeah, Punk gets his victory at WrestleMania. And, that's great, actually, Skeener, because that just gives so many storytelling beats between the Usos. That could give a storytelling beat.
It just gets Roman back on TV for me.
Screw the rest of the story.
Would he go back on his word on not wanting to see him till Christmas if Jay were to win the title?
Well, listen, he wouldn't have to see him till Christmas. Jay could win the title at Saturday night's main event, right? And then we still don't see Roman with Jay interacting until the new year. I mean, listen, Roman missed his entire first championship run. What's a few months?
Yeah, there's probably not a world where that vacation gets cut short for anything less than a check for a few $1 million, right? If we're being practical about it. But who knows? There's opportunities and twists and turns abound here.
That's what we live for. That's what this podcast is for, baby, is to talk about all the possibilities in these stories and to talk about the outcomes in professional wrestling, because this is what we love to do. So, Skeener, what is your pick of the week, man? What is your big takeaway from this week? Either something in the ring, something outside the ring, or something about just the world of professional wrestling that struck you this week?
I think maximizing opportunity and the difference that makes, and we hit on it multiple times during the show, but you have a difference in maximizing an opportunity and getting people to care with Maxine Dupree versus, unfortunately, Aleister Black. And we talked about that. We exhausted the topic, but I think that's always been a constant in wrestling, is you've got to maximize what you're given. And sometimes, we like to talk a lot about the failings or things we wish that quote unquote creative would have done. But at the end of the day, there's another part of the equation that's gotta do its part too. So that's where I'm at this week.
I agree. And honestly, I think my big wrestling thing for the week is, honestly, I was going to say something similar to what you say. So I'm going to just narrow it a little bit, and I'm just going to give all the props in the world to one Maxine Dupree. I think that watching her blossom into this character that not only is gaining the adulation of the fans and the hearts of the fans, but you just wrestled your second match in a week against Becky Lynch, who is arguably the best female wrestler they've got on the roster right now, and certainly one of the biggest, if not the biggest, female wrestling star that they have on the roster right now. And the match was great. It was really great. You know where your strengths are. You're working with someone, and you do a really great job of hiding your deficiencies right now. And your intangibles shine, girlfriend. They shine. And I give you all the props in the world because you absolutely deserve it. And I really genuinely hope and pray that WWE not only sees you as a great piece of the puzzle for the storyline with Becky Lynch that they're telling right now, but also see what you're capable of and are able to put you in positions where you can continue to shine. Because like Skeens said, part of it is taking advantage of these opportunities, and you have taken full advantage of the opportunity that was given to you. And I think that that warrants you to have more of them. But guys, thank you for coming out, spending some time with us this week, talking about professional wrestling. We've got one more week until Saturday night's main event, which is John Cena's final match. So be prepared for Skeens and I to talk quite a bit.
John Cena's final match in 2 weeks.
Wait, it's not it Saturday night's main event?
No, this is another one. That's a Saturday night's main event in December.
Son of a...
There's two. We have 2 Saturday night's main events and 1 PLE left this year.
This is... Okay. So...
This is another one.
So how many dates does John have left? I thought he had like 4.
Not many. He will not be there next weekend unless something drastically changes.
Okay, I'm about to say because one of those events is his final match at Saturday night's main event. He's got to do at least
December
one
Saturday
show.
Night's main event.
So he's got to do at least one show before Saturday night's main event because we don't even know who his opponent is.
Right, I think he's got like 4 or 5 dates left.
I think it's 4. I think he's under 5.
Yeah.
So I think this.
So we'll get a build up with whoever it is.
Okay. So all right. Okay. So we got Saturday night's main event in a little over a week. So come back, check us out next week where we'll be doing our go home episode for Saturday night's main event, and you'll get our predictions on the match card because it'll get fleshed out over this Friday and next Monday. We'll know exactly what's going to be on that card. Tune in and get our opinions. We love to see you guys there. Skeens, tell our friends one more time where they can let their friends know where they can listen to the number 96 ranked wrestling podcast in the United States, according to Apple Wrestling Podcast.
We're coming at you once a week, everywhere you get your podcast, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We're up there every week. We're over on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast. And as always, our Gmail inbox is open for your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, hate mail, anything like that. That is at the Lariat Lounge at gmail.com. You send it in and we can clean it up enough. We'll read it out on air. How about that?
Absolutely, guys. And please, wherever you listen to these podcasts, give us a great rating on the podcast. It is nothing for you. It takes a second, but for us, it means a lot. And as a note to everyone, we just passed, as of earlier today, 400 unique downloads over the life of the Lariat Lounge podcast. So thank you guys for showing up, for listening to us each week. We really do appreciate it. We're growing this community together, and we appreciate you every time you come out and listen to us. So from me and Andrew Skeens, this has been another edition of the Lariat Lounge. Please watch yourself on the way out.